Have you ever found yourself in an intimate moment with someone, the connection building, emotions intensifying, and as things progress, you're swept into a wave of pleasure that's almost impossible to describe? It's that moment when everything else fades, and all that exists is the electric sensation between you and the person you're with. It feels like pure magic, right? But what if I told you there's a fascinating world of science behind this experience? A symphony of chemical reactions, brain activity, and biological triggers that work together to create what feels like an out-of-body experience. Today, we're diving deep into the science of pleasure, breaking down what's happening in our minds and bodies before, during, and after an orgasm. To start, let's look at what's happening in the brain. Believe it or not, that incredible moment actually begins in the cerebral cortex, the same part of the brain responsible for critical thinking, decision-making, and higher-order thoughts. It might sound strange to think that something so powerful begins in the brain rather than the body, but it's true. The brain acts like a control center, where every physical sensation, emotion, and touch is transformed into meaning. This is where it all begins, creating the foundation for what will later build into a crescendo of pleasure. But this isn't just a mechanical process. It's a journey deeply rooted in emotion and personal connection. The brain's interpretation of each sensory input, the gentle brush of a hand, the warmth of a touch, sparks signals that travel through our nervous system, translating these sensations into something much deeper. This connection between brain and body means that pleasure is more than a feeling. It's a cascade of responses happening inside us. Even in the early moments, as the excitement builds, our brains are busy transforming these feelings into an experience that touches the heart, mind, and body. And it doesn't stop there. As the sensations continue to build, another part of the brain, the frontal lobe, begins to activate. Now, the frontal lobe is where many of our most important mental processes, like impulse control, memory, and decision-making, take place. During arousal, this part of the brain shifts its focus to amplify emotions and heighten feelings of connection. This is why, in the heat of the moment, memories of past intimate experiences may bubble up, adding another layer of intensity to what you're already feeling. It's not just physical, it's an emotional cascade, a journey that's not only felt on the surface, but deeply experienced on a personal, meaningful level. As the sensations grow stronger, another vital part of the brain starts to take over, the amygdala. This area, usually associated with the fight-or-flight response, shifts gears and plays a unique role in arousal and intimacy. Instead of triggering fear, the amygdala heightens emotional intensity, helping us feel the connection on an even deeper level. Think about that feeling of exhilaration, the way every touch feels electric, and every glance holds a world of meaning. This isn't just chemistry, it's biology at its most emotionally charged. The amygdala sends signals to other areas of the brain, amplifying pleasure, while momentarily quieting parts of the mind that might otherwise be preoccupied with stress or worry. Have you ever noticed how all your anxieties seem to melt away in the middle of an intimate moment? That's because your brain is intentionally quieting down those thoughts, allowing you to be fully present, fully connected to the sensations and emotions of the experience. And while all of this is happening in your brain, your body is also gearing up. Blood flow increases and nerve endings become more sensitive, preparing you for an intense experience. As this arousal process continues, hormones like dopamine and oxytocin start to flood your system. Dopamine, often called the feel-good hormone, begins to take effect, enhancing your mood and heightening anticipation. Oxytocin, also known as the bonding hormone, fosters a sense of closeness and trust, building an emotional bridge between you and your partner. This combination of physical changes and hormonal rushes is what begins to blur the line between physical pleasure and emotional intimacy, making the experience not just an act, but a powerful connection on every level. And that's just the beginning. Each moment draws you closer, physically and emotionally, to the peak of pleasure. It's like climbing a mountain, with every step pulling you in, every heartbeat and breath heightening the connection. As we move closer to the big moment, we'll see how every part of your brain and body works together to make this experience unforgettable. Stay tuned, because the science only gets more fascinating. Now, as we move closer to that peak, let's dive a bit deeper into the specific parts of your brain lighting up with arousal. The first is the hippocampus, a critical area for memory. This might be why certain touches or scents suddenly trigger intense memories, adding depth to what you're feeling in the moment. It's as if your brain is bringing past experiences forward, amplifying arousal by blending memory and sensation. The hippocampus assigns meaning to these moments, making them feel not only physically gratifying, but also emotionally resonant. This is why intimacy with a trusted partner often feels much richer. Those memories, those shared moments, they all contribute to the emotional depth of the experience. As this intricate dance between memory and arousal unfolds, something fascinating happens. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and logical thinking, begins to quiet down. It's like your brain is giving you permission to let go of all the worries, responsibilities, and inhibitions, allowing you to surrender fully to the moment. This temporary shift can make us feel liberated, free from our usual thoughts and anxieties. It's no accident that during intense pleasure, we often feel uninhibited, bold, even a little reckless. This freeing of the mind is a crucial part of the experience, letting us connect not only with our partner, but also with ourselves on a raw, instinctual level. Alongside these changes in the brain, your body is also preparing. Blood flow is surging towards certain areas, and every touch feels heightened. Your muscles start to tense and contract in response, getting ready for what's coming. And as the levels of dopamine, the anticipation hormone, increase, every second is building the expectation of something powerful and exhilarating. Each sensory detail, every touch, every heartbeat brings you closer to the edge. Your body is on high alert, absorbing every sensation. And as this wave of pleasure builds, we approach one of the most intense neurological and physical responses the human body can achieve: the climax. But there's more to this process than meets the eye, and the science behind it is as intricate as it is beautiful. Ready to take the next step? As you're drawn closer to the peak, the brain kicks into an even higher gear. Dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter that fuels anticipation, hits even higher levels. This chemical buildup intensifies your focus on the sensations you're experiencing, amplifying every touch and heightening the sense of excitement. At this stage, even the smallest contact feels electric, as if your entire body is tuned into a new frequency of pleasure. Now, let's bring another key player into the spotlight: the amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center. Ordinarily responsible for fight or flight reactions, the amygdala shifts gears here, contributing to arousal rather than stress. It sends emotional surges through your system, magnifying the sense of passion and connection. This mix of heightened emotion and physical stimulation transforms the experience, taking it beyond pure physicality and creating a deep, emotional resonance. As the tension builds, the anterior cingulate cortex, a region tied to focus and self-awareness, also lights up, honing your attention exclusively on the experience. It's this intense focus that makes everything around you fade away, creating a sense of time slowing down, almost like you're in a different dimension where only this moment exists. At the same time, your body is responding physically to match the signals in your brain. Blood flow to erogenous zones is at its peak, bringing more warmth, sensitivity, and readiness for what's to come. It's no surprise that people describe this part of intimacy as an overwhelming wave, one that's nearly impossible to resist. And behind it all, your body's release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, further deepens your sense of connection to your partner. This intricate chemical dance makes pleasure not just physical, but also emotional, a shared experience that's unique every time. With everything building up, we're just one step away from the grand finale, the culmination of all these interconnected reactions and emotions. And in that next moment, when everything comes together, the intensity and beauty of the experience will leave you breathless. Now, as you approach the peak, your brain's reward centers, particularly the ventral tegmental area and nucleus accumbens, are firing at full intensity. These areas release even more dopamine, fueling the final stages of pleasure. But here's where things get fascinating. Not only are these regions producing pleasure signals, but they're also building up a sense of anticipation. This is why, just before orgasm, you feel an intense mix of excitement and yearning, almost as if you're on the brink of something profound. And here's the interesting part. As you get closer, a few sections of your brain actually start to switch off. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for rational thought and self-control, goes quiet. This is why, in the heat of the moment, you're less likely to overthink, analyze, or hold back. Instead, you're free to experience the moment without restraint. It's a powerful reminder of how our minds and bodies are designed to fully surrender, letting go of inhibitions to embrace vulnerability. In fact, this brief switching off of control centers is one of the reasons why you may feel so uninhibited during orgasm, why you might shout, make spontaneous movements, or even laugh or cry without knowing why. It's as if your body is giving itself permission to let go, guided purely by sensation and emotion. During this time, there's also a release of endorphins, the brain's natural painkillers, which provide that sense of warmth and euphoria that makes everything feel even better. These endorphins, along with the rush of dopamine and oxytocin, create a powerful feeling of pleasure, bonding, and ultimately, release. It's no wonder that this moment is often described as euphoric or blissful, a singular moment when both the body and mind are in complete harmony. With each layer of sensation, your body and brain synchronize to bring you closer to that final peak, a culmination of chemistry, emotion, and sensation that's been building up from the very start. And as we reach the final stage, the science behind the intensity of this experience only grows more fascinating. Now, as your body reaches its peak, an entire cascade of responses takes over, almost like an orchestra of sensory systems hitting their crescendo. Every part of you feels electrified, and it's no coincidence. Blood flow is surging to your erogenous zones, nerves are firing in heightened synchrony, and muscles are tensing and releasing in quick successions. It's a full-body experience, and yet every sensation is rooted in one deeply powerful moment. At this point, the paraventricular nucleus and medial preoptic area of your hypothalamus start working in overdrive, producing a surge of oxytocin, often known as the love hormone. Oxytocin intensifies the feeling of connection, creating a wave of bonding and warmth, especially if you're with a partner. This hormone doesn't just amplify physical pleasure, it deepens the emotional significance of the moment, binding you closer to your partner, or even strengthening your sense of self if you're alone. Meanwhile, as dopamine levels skyrocket, you might feel an overwhelming sense of euphoria. But it's more than just pleasure. It's a feeling of release, a kind of freedom that only comes when all your physical and mental barriers dissolve. This moment, this unique, fleeting state, is when your brain's reward system is in full effect, flooding you with dopamine that feels like a reward for every bit of anticipation you've been building up. And in these final seconds before the climax, certain areas of your brain, like the insula and anterior cingulate cortex, are responding not only to pleasure, but also helping to override pain, stress, or any lingering hesitation. In this way, the orgasm isn't just a single isolated sensation. It's an experience of mental and physical release that leaves an impact far deeper than just a few seconds of bliss. It's incredible how all these complex brain activities and body reactions are interconnected, shaping an experience that can feel so simple on the surface, but is actually a profound, carefully orchestrated event between your mind, body, and emotions. As we inch closer to that thrilling moment of climax, the anticipation mounts. It's as if time itself stands still. Your heart races, and your senses heighten. You might notice a surge of energy, an almost electric buzz coursing through your body, as each heartbeat echoes louder than the last. This heightened state isn't just exciting, it's a critical part of what makes orgasms feel so extraordinary. When the big moment finally arrives, an explosive release occurs, one that transcends the physical realm. Your muscles are contracting rhythmically, pulsing in tandem with the waves of pleasure that cascade through you. During this blissful release, your brain is simultaneously activating and deactivating areas that control everything from sensation to decision-making. Yes, that's right. As you ride this wave of ecstasy, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking takes a back seat. You might find yourself lost in a whirlwind of sensations, sounds escaping your lips without you even realizing it. This uninhibited release can feel exhilarating, freeing you from the constraints of everyday life and allowing pure pleasure to take the forefront. But wait, there's more. In the aftermath of this sensory explosion, your brain and body enter a recovery phase, a sort of reset that feels like the gentle aftershocks of a seismic event. This moment of stillness is not merely about relaxation, it's about allowing your body to bask in the afterglow of pleasure. You might notice that you feel drowsy, a sense of calm washing over you like a warm blanket. This is primarily due to the release of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that encourages relaxation and promotes feelings of contentment. As the remnants of pleasure linger in your body, it's crucial to understand that this post-orgasm state can profoundly affect your emotional well-being. Many people experience a sense of connection, peace, or even vulnerability after climaxing, which can deepen intimacy with a partner or enhance personal reflection if you're alone. This combination of neurotransmitters working harmoniously creates a tapestry of sensations and emotions that serve as a reminder of how intricately woven our physical experiences are with our mental states. Just as our bodies respond to pleasure, our minds are crafting narratives about those experiences, shaping how we view intimacy, connection, and our own self-worth. As you continue to savor the after effects of your orgasm, it's fascinating to consider how these sensations can extend beyond mere physical pleasure. The intertwining of body and mind is a dance that deserves our attention, particularly when it comes to understanding how we relate to ourselves and others in the wake of such an intense experience. You may find that after this moment of bliss, feelings of attachment and affection begin to surface. This is largely influenced by the cocktail of hormones released during orgasm, particularly oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin, often referred to as the love hormone, is known for its role in bonding. This neurotransmitter helps foster feelings of closeness and emotional connection, whether with a partner during intimacy or even in the warmth of platonic relationships. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling that reminds you why intimacy is such a vital part of human connection. Meanwhile, vasopressin contributes to these feelings by enhancing emotional responses, leading to deeper attachment and sometimes a sense of possessiveness. It's intriguing to think about how these biological responses can influence our emotional landscape. After an orgasm, you might feel an overwhelming desire to cuddle, communicate, or simply bask in the presence of your partner. This desire to connect isn't just a fleeting feeling. It's rooted in biology and our evolutionary past. In our ancestors' time, these feelings of attachment would have promoted pair bonding, ensuring the survival of offspring and enhancing communal living. As you reflect on this fascinating interplay of biology and emotion, consider how your body's responses during and after an orgasm shape your interactions and relationships. Each experience can leave an imprint on your psyche, influencing how you view intimacy and trust in future encounters. Recognizing this profound connection can lead to a deeper understanding of your own desires and emotional needs, paving the way for more fulfilling experiences in your intimate life. So, as you sit with the knowledge of what's happening inside your body and mind, you may begin to appreciate not just the physical pleasure, but the emotional journey that accompanies it. This layered complexity is what makes sexual experiences so rich and multifaceted. But what happens when these feelings fade? How do we navigate the space between ecstasy and the reality of our emotions afterward? Let's dive deeper into the waves of emotional tides that follow. After the waves of pleasure and emotional warmth begin to recede, you might find yourself in a moment of reflection. It's crucial to acknowledge that the aftermath of an orgasm can sometimes bring about a mix of emotions. While many people bask in a post-coital glow, others may experience feelings of vulnerability or even anxiety. This duality is part of the human experience, and understanding it can enhance your emotional literacy and intimacy with yourself and others. When the hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin start to wane, it's normal for feelings of attachment to shift. You might feel a longing for the emotional connection that was heightened during intimacy. Alternatively, there can be an unsettling feeling as you navigate the shift back to reality, especially if your relationship with your partner is complex. If communication isn't open, those feelings can sometimes lead to confusion or distress. Take a moment to breathe and reflect on your emotional landscape. What feelings are coming up for you? Are they in line with the joy and intimacy you experienced, or do they signal something deeper? This is a great opportunity to practice self-compassion and awareness. Acknowledge any discomfort without judgment and consider how it might inform your future relationships and experiences. Moreover, it's vital to remember that not all sexual encounters lead to lasting emotional connections, and that's perfectly okay. Recognizing this can help alleviate any pressure you might feel to forge deep connections every time. Instead, you can appreciate each experience for what it offers: pleasure, exploration, and growth. Ultimately, this journey through pleasure and emotional exploration can teach us about ourselves. It reminds us that sexuality is not just a physical act, but an intricate interplay of biology, emotions, and relationships. Embracing this complexity allows for richer experiences and a deeper understanding of our desires and needs. Now that we've unraveled the layers of emotion and biology intertwined in our sexual experiences, let's turn our attention to the final moments of this fascinating journey. What are the key takeaways that linger in your mind as we approach the conclusion? Let's explore the significance of your experiences and how they shape not just your intimate life, but also your overall well-being. As we reach the conclusion of our exploration into the science and emotion of orgasms, it's important to reflect on the profound impact these experiences can have on our lives. What insights have you gained about yourself through this journey? Every orgasm is not just a peak of physical pleasure. It's a symphony of hormonal reactions, emotional connections, and deep psychological shifts. It's a reminder of how our bodies are intricately designed to experience joy, intimacy, and even vulnerability. Let's consider this. How can you take what you've learned and apply it to your personal experiences? Whether it's enhancing your communication with a partner or deepening your understanding of your own desires, there's a wealth of knowledge within this exploration. The next time you find yourself caught in the moment, remember that it's not just about the mechanics, it's about the emotional and physical connection you share. So, I invite you to take a moment for yourself. Reflect on your past encounters and consider how you can approach intimacy moving forward with a new perspective. What echoes from your past experiences resonate with you? How might facing them help you to transform your intimate life and emotional well-being? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. Your experiences can inspire and connect with others on similar journeys of discovery. And if you found this video enlightening, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Sci2 for more insightful content. Your engagement helps us grow and share these important conversations with even more people. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the science of pleasure. We hope to see you in the next video, where we'll dive into more topics that illuminate the complexities of human experience. Until then, take care of yourselves and embrace the beauty of your own unique journey.